go from here? You don't sound sincere.
In gaming, there have been a few moments that really got me going for a few reasons. And I'd like to share some of that with you right now. The first one that comes to mind is Mass Effect 2. Now, I love the shit out of Mass Effect 1. Like, I did a proper 48-hour playthrough where I literally just banged it out, and I did everything. I think the only thing I didn't end up doing is the DLCs, which I just couldn't afford at the time. Broke-ass kid. But I did love it. I remember fighting my way up the elevator shaft during the final encounter with Sovereign on the way up to fight Saren. And coming into Mass Effect 2, which is the moment I'm about to speak about, I was overall a bit disappointed. For the small things, like I loved coming back from every mission and talking to every crew member. And I liked the fact that they all spoke as if they were there, like I didn't have to do multiple playthroughs, because God knows I would have, but it would have padded the fucking game. And Mass Effect 2, well, it didn't have that. It had calibrating guns all day. But the final mission, and I'd been a little bit disappointed up until now. Like, I was still enjoying it. It was still a great ride, but I was a little bit sad. And then the final mission against the Collectors hit. And I remember that being probably one of the most adrenaline-filled 40-50 minutes of gaming that I've ever had. For the simple reason, like, it really put you in the action. It wasn't just you had to fight your way through, like, hordes and hordes of enemies. It gave you decisions to make, sometimes on the fly. Like, you had to organize the defensive party, you had to fight your way through, choose who was going to hack the vent, and then fight alongside them to make sure they didn't get roasted alive. They found ways to really make the situation interesting, like switch things up, like the point where you have to stay inside the barrier, or the bugs will get you. That was amazing. They really pulled out all the stops to that final encounter, and the only thing that mars that is the kind of weak boss fight at the end. To be fair, Mass Effect hasn't necessarily been, at least up to 1 and 2, hasn't been the best for boss fights, but the rest of the game makes up for it, because it's just incredible. The other moment that comes to mind immediately is pretty much one of the final set pieces in The Last of Us. There's basically like a section of like collapsed underpass, and it is just fucking crawling with infected. And I remember just like sticking to the shadows and really sweating how I was going to do it. I managed to jump a few of the lesser infected and like basically take them out without using any ammo or shivs or anything. And I remember climbing to the top of a bus, and I was thinking I'm going to have to brute force this. And I died 2 or 3 times just because like they got me from an unexpected angle, because it is a one-hit kill game. If one of those infected gets within reach of you, your head is getting torn off, which is just so sweet. Zombie games often downplay that aspect, like the fatality, the lethality of it. Like in Resident Evil, you can get your neck chomped on. Like a dude can take a good chunk of your jugular out, and as long as you're smoking some fucking crisp dank, you're good. But in The Last of Us, you literally watch Joel's head get torn off, and then a split second before it comes apart, it cuts to The Last of Us, and that's just amazing. It even happens to Ellie. Anyway, I remember just like fighting a kind of Spartan last stand on top of that bus, tossing Molotovs onto the ground around me just to get those infected off of me. And the super ones, like the I don't even remember the proper name for them, but the huge ones that can take a beating. Oh, chilling. God, let me have a moment. Another one would be The Walking Dead Season 1, Episode 2. Now, I'm a bit of a bitch, I'll admit, but there's a part where they're in the farm. If you haven't seen this, too bad. Spoilers are on the way, because you've had like 20 years to watch this now. And plus every Let's Player under the sun has done it, so whatever. Basically, you're on a farm. Things seem way too good to be true, and that's because they are. And you're fixing part of the electric fence around the farm. And one of your dudes takes a crossbow bolt to the shoulder, and you have to do this really interesting slow-paced retreat while hiding. And I had a flash forward. So like you get back to the farm and he gets taken for medical care, and then suddenly one of your dudes finds a shed full of bloody shit. And I had a flash forward immediately because my brain's good at putting like narrative together. I was like, okay, they're killing people and they're chopping bits off them while they're still alive, and I'm about to try and eat my friend. And I couldn't take it. I have really bad like avoidant personality disorder with some things, and I turned the game off then and there. I stopped and I didn't touch it again for 6 months. And when I actually got around to it, I did it while basically drunk off my ass on Jack Daniels to like numb me up. That's how invested I was. Like I did the same thing with like the most recent Harry Dresden book. I picked it up and nearly didn't touch it for a year because one of the characters was about to basically eat shit. But The Walking Dead is really, really good for that. Like really involving, and you can kind of be who you want to be, but still be the character playing, like Clem or I've forgotten the main character. Fuck. All I can think of is Ricky Gervais, and I know that's not it. Oh. Finally, to round off, at least I hope everyone knows about this, but Spec Ops: The Line. That game fucked my heart in the ass. And I'm not going to be ranty. It's a topic deserving of respect, because I really think Spec Ops: The Line is the best example of how an incredible story and atmosphere can make even the most mediocre game just flourish and stand out. There's a moment, again, I'm gonna full on spoiler this, you've had your goddamn chance. There is a moment where basically after crashing your helicopter, which is actually ironically the first part of the game, which is a flashback, and then 2/3 of the way through, after crashing your helicopter, one of your dudes gets separated from your 3-man team. And you're frantically trying to fight your way through to him through like waves of enemies, and you're hearing him get chased by the locals who are basically trying to lynch him. And you come across his body, and there's a whole scene where you cut him down and you're trying to give him CPR and it's not working, and he's dead. Then he's gone. And then there's a crowd of people approaching you, and your other guy who's still alive is basically screaming in your ear like, what do we do? What do we do? And like in Mass Effect or most other games, Infamous for example, you time stops and you get given the clear linear choice. Waste them or show mercy. This game doesn't. It literally does not hold your hand. You are standing there with a slowly advancing crowd and a gun pointed straight into them. And I fired up in the air. I didn't even know if that would work, but I was going to try, and it did. They scattered. But this game didn't hold your hand. It put you right in the situation, gave you a gun, and I'm willing to bet some people kind of, emptied into the crowd thinking maybe there'll be another option. No, you've killed people. And that game was so effective with those kind of things. You paid a pound in flesh for every choice in that game, and I really did admire it. Because if you strip the story away from that game, the game was about as average as it could get. It was a waist-high wall cover shooter 2016. But with the story, it was something dark and horrific and amazing and terrible. And I'd love to do it again, but I never want to do it again. Anyway, that was Banderacon. A moment to remember. Like, comment, subscribe, shoot me a message, I don't particularly mind. Have a good night.
I met you. I'm never gonna neglect you. My soul and my sweat too. But I'm afraid